Welcome back to another episode of Right Here in Mass. Joining me today is BJ Corey, an award-winning marketer, strategist, community builder, and speaker. His success can be found in campaigns from Under Armour, IMG Worldwide, Cybex International, Sharkninja, Oofos, and his own companies 13th Mile Marketing and DuoCore Solutions. His work includes product launches, robust media campaigns, including the Super Bowl, short form and events, certification programs, and branding and positioning. BJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I almost sound like a professional when you read that out loud. That's pretty
I
cool.
know. I'm looking at your bio and I'm like, he has a very extensive background here.
I always say that it's a fun resume to get to, in the past interview for jobs with or go out and try to get clients now with I think everybody wants to have those recognizable brands and things to talk about. So I've been lucky and fortunate to be able to put those things down.
Definitely. And why don't you start off with that by just telling our listeners more about yourself, what you do, and how you kind of got to where you are today with your two companies?
Yeah, so I live in Rentham and am marketing consultant right now in both of my companies and proudly wearing them today, 13th Mile Marketing for any type of brand or product, social media marketing, really focused on local businesses, small businesses, just really helping people with telling that story, building their brand. And then, just this past spring, starting DuoCore Solutions with a friend and business partner. His name's Mark Cornell. He's a personal trainer out of the Las Vegas area. He just won the IDEA Health and Fitness Association's Personal Trainer of the Year. So what we've done is we've known each other for about 17 years and always try to work together. When I was at Under Armour, he was with TRX, and we've been friends ever since. And so any of the health, wellness, fitness industry brands, products, we've started working together on that to kind of give them the marketing and the insider education programming from the fitness world. So two different companies, a lot of fun. I have my wife and two sons are 7 and almost 4, so life is crazy and hectic, but a lot of fun coaching sports and doing all that. And a huge sports fan myself at home, as you can obviously see behind me. So try to do as much of that with them as possible and teaching them the games. But yeah, it's been for me marketing, since I started out of college. I went to grad school at San Diego State and was in the first sports MBA program that they had there. So I went into that program, hoping I'd come home and figure out a way to be the next general manager of the Boston Celtics. And I left with a real love of working with brands and brand marketing. So, I started to realize that you could work for the Celtics or you could work for, say, Pepsi and work with all the teams and all the leagues. And there was a lot of different opportunities that way. And, was lucky enough to get the opportunity to intern at Under Armour right about the
Yeah.
time where everything was about to take off. It was right before they went public. It was right before footwear launched. And it was, the stuff you write stories about, just really getting to see a company like that take off, having the access, that I don't think you would get at some of these other more established companies at that time. I mean, I can remember working to get a contract with the US bobsled team and wanting to do their uniforms, and Kevin, the CEO, running up and down the hall in a in a sample suit because he wasn't going to let that suit go out if it didn't meet standards. And I don't
Yeah.
think, we used to say you wouldn't see Phil Knight doing that at Nike. So it was a really cool time. I learned a lot. I got to, like you said in the intro, to work on Super Bowl campaigns and to be able to work with athletes that I watched and cheered for as a kid or were watching and cheering for in that moment. And, to be able to, pull up your phone and be able to see, the Ray Lewises and Deion Sanders and people like that, having relationships with them was awesome. And the things I got to go do and see, it was the perfect sports marketing job for somebody like me at that point. I was, 26 to 30 ish right there. So that's, perfect. Um, going into other marketing roles. I've stayed within that, health and fitness space a lot, with IMG and Cybex. And, I took some CPG time with Sharkninja, which was, really helpful for me to learn and be more comfortable with all the different pieces of marketing and working on infomercials and working on retail, displays and packaging and things like that. So now, as I run these two businesses, there really isn't anything I feel uncomfortable approaching.
Yeah.
And it's nice from the same standpoint of, because of that, a lot of these products that we're working with now, it's people that just have a dream or a vision, or I see this product and I know if people use this product, they're going to feel better. They're going to work out better. They're going to, they're going to understand it's the best product in the industry. And, but they don't know how to manufacture it the right way or how to distribute it the right way, or they're spending twice as much on packaging as they need to. And
Mhm.
I think that's the piece that I enjoy bringing is, it's not just about marketing for me. It is about building your brand and being almost like a co-pilot. And yes, my bread and butter is going to help you, tell the story and have your branding kit and your social and your content, but I can also help you. Mark and I always say, if we don't know how to do it or know the person to help you do it, we're literally one call away from any of those people. So I
Yeah.
think it's just a different dynamic that we bring that, some other places don't have.
Absolutely. And so having such incredible and extensive experience with all these different companies that you worked for and the amazing campaigns that you had the opportunity to be a part of, like what was the moment that made you realize that you wanted to go off on your own and have your own company since you have two and be able to do your own agency rather than doing marketing for another company?
Having two kids, I'm not the boss anymore, so I wanted to be my just, yeah. There's a lot to do with it. I mean, I think the pandemic changed everybody's perspective on
Mhm.
how they wanted to work, where they wanted to work, what was important. We all, I think in marketing, and you do this, you love what you do and you wouldn't do it if you didn't. And there's parts of any job that you don't love, whether it's your commute
Right.
or your boss or the office dynamic, whatever it is. And for me, it kind of started by chance, to be completely honest, with the consulting piece. I was, looking for what to do next. And it was one of those things where Mark and a couple other people that I've known for years were like, "Hey, while you're figuring it out, I've got somebody that needs some help. Can you take a call? Can you do this?" And all of a sudden I was working with, four different companies out of the blue. And I was like, wait a minute, this is exactly what consulting would be. And I have the flexibility and I can pull, different resources and things like that. So I kind of spent more time on, how would it be structured? How would I do it? Does it make sense for me?
Mhm.
Um, but it, just like I've been saying in that last answer, to be able to help people, that was the big piece of it for me. Corporate marketing is great and it's fun. And if you work at a place like Under Armour, you get to, do some of those things. And if you're at a place like Shark Ninja, you work with products that are absolutely unbelievable, and innovative. But, are you really helping a person? Yes, I may be helping you clean your house better or make a recipe better or run a little faster if you buy our products or shoes or something like that. But this type of marketing for me is, I'm actually helping a person or a team succeed and reach their goals or make their vision a reality. So I think that for me was the big piece of why I wanted to do this, was just seeing that, there's so many people out there that have put years and sweat equity and capital into, I want to make this work, but they haven't cracked that nut yet, so to speak. And if I can help them do that with perspectives of things that worked at Under Armour or things that work with, you know, Cybex or things like that, that help drive success, that's awesome to me. That's as cool as it has been over the years to go to a store and see a package I helped design, or, a display that I helped put together, to see these people get to live out that vision they have is just as, if not more satisfying.
And it's so rewarding just going through that where you're like, I directly helped them
Mhm.
cross the finish line in this sense and be able to bring something that was at one point just a vision or just an idea, and now it's a full-blown product line or
Right.
full-blown company. And so I love that too. And I don't want to necessarily say that you started your business by accident, but I always love hearing about people who started their companies just because they were helping friends and they were helping colleagues and friends of friends. And it's like all of a sudden, like you said, now you have a business because you're helping four different people. And I always love hearing stories like that because I think it's so inspiring of just all of a sudden all these connections that you've built throughout the years have now turned into your own consultancy and your
Yeah.
own firm just from being able to nurture that, which I think is truly wonderful and obviously a testament to you and your work.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's, by accident, like you say, it's funny, but I have a one of my mentors, and a former boss I had at Sharkninja. Her name's Dina Kowaloff, and she has her own consulting group now, the Brand Foundry here in Massachusetts, and she really focuses on food and beverage. Her career before Shark Ninja was in, grocery and getting that stuff out to market. And she's done really well. That was her vision when she left, was she was going to start this business. And we would talk about it and she'd be like, would you ever try consulting? Would you? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to chase people and worry about, like, I want to do my job and go home and see my wife and my kids. And then when I started doing this, she was like, what are you doing? You're a consultant now. And I said, yeah, I guess I am. So
And
it's
she's
kind
like,
of
I
been a
told you
joke with,
so.
yeah. She's like, see, I told you to try it. So, I give her a lot of credit for that too. Just, seeing what was out there and how to approach it. I think I looked at it one way, and then once I was
Mhm.
in it, it's a different perspective. So, the best laid plans, as they say, but here I am and loving it. So,
Yeah, I love that. And then in addition to having 13th Mile Marketing, of course, you have DuoCore Solutions, which I think you said you started back in the spring with your co-founder. And
mhm.
so I also love hearing stories of people who just juggle two businesses, because that's one thing I'm always so curious about is how you can equally, or maybe it's not even equally, but how you kind of distribute your time across both and without feeling like you're kind of taking away from the other. So I'd love to hear kind of your process for just managing them and wearing so many hats and doing it so well.
Yeah, as I wear my dual core hat today, but I wanted to well represent as best I could. But yeah, it's, like I said, 13th Mile was where I started, and I wanted to do that. And for me, it was really anything. I was open
Mhm,
to helping anyone, health and fitness, consumer product, local business, whatever the case may be. Mark and I, as I said, we've been friends forever. And, the first consulting client that I took on was a referral from him, and we were working together. And it just was one of those conversations where, like, hey, this person may need the same kind of thing. And it
mhm,
was one of those where, like, he's an independent contractor, I'm a consultant. We were working with these people, and, well, you've got to pay Mark this and you've got to pay me that. And we had talked about it for a long time. We're like, why don't we just go do this? And, but specifically for fitness, I think there's a little more of a niche for him being a trainer. And, one of the things we always say is, when we talk to some of these companies, you're not going to go get a marketing person that knows as much about building an education program and a certification platform and understanding the nuances of the fitness industry as well as I think I have over the years. And Mark is not just a trainer. There's a million trainers out there, but Mark is a coach and a speaker and takes the time to learn all the other things. When you talk about, like, an entrepreneur who runs their business and does their marketing and does their sales and runs the books and all that, Mark takes that really seriously in his business. And what we always say is we complement each other very well because we also understand what the other one does better. So,
mhm.
I may be the marketing lead, but Mark can do a lot of the marketing stuff I can do and give that perspective and, speak in my place if I'm not there. And I think when it comes to, the ins and outs of the programming and certifications and educational needs, I'm able to do that with him because of my experience. So we just kind of fell into place, like, we need to do this for fitness. And so when you talk about, like, how do you split your time, it's ebbs and flows, just like any consulting business. I think we're very focused right now on the projects where we're working on.
Mhm.
We've been working with Oofos for about a year now, building some education and a platform for them. And, that takes up a lot of our time as we get it ready to launch probably the beginning of the year. We just started a couple months ago working with a new company, Chisel Fit. It's a commercial and home equipment company similar to, the experience I had with Cybex. And we're spending a lot of time really building that brand up. So the product itself is amazing. As somebody who's seen hundreds of products over the years, like this is one of the, if not the best I've seen. And now it's about telling that story and building that awareness. So we're spending a lot of time there, but I'm also, still working on the 13th mile and the local businesses. I'm part of the Walpole Business Alliance networking group. So there's a lot of touch points there in town. Spending, the last year and a half or so really trying to network in town, working with some of the groups here in Rentham, and just trying to help wherever I can help. It's to me, it's like I said, it's helping. So if it's, this person needs help with social media, or this group in town is trying to figure out how to let people understand what they do, and people don't even realize they're a resource for them in town, like how can I help do that? Working with, and sometimes it blends, like it's a local gym that I'm doing some content for. So it kind of blends, both. But it's really just an extension to me. I don't treat them necessarily as two separate entities. It's,
Yeah.
who can I go out there and help? And if it's focused on health and fitness, then we bring in the DuoCore side. And if it's just a local business that needs marketing help, then it's 13th mile.
Definitely. And I love that you have such an emphasis and focus on the local community stuff, because that's one of my favorite things really about Massachusetts. It's just how tight knit every community is, and being able to build those relationships. And like you said, go into each relationship thinking not what can I get from them, but instead what can I give to them. And so I think it's really great to think about how you're doing all of these different projects and just finding ways you can support other organizations in the area.
Yeah, I think those local groups, I didn't recognize the power they hold
Mhm.
until I started going to them. As I started the 13th mile stuff last year, I saw a Facebook ad about a networking happy hour in Walpole. And so I went and I met, a couple of the people there and joined that group. And what you realize is that these small towns are exactly that. They're small towns. I remember going to the first Rentham networking group I went to, and everybody knew each other. And I walked in as, kind of the outsider, and, but they were excited, like, oh, somebody that does marketing, and let's talk. And now, a year or so later, I know all those people. Between the work I've done here, coaching in town, my kids being in school, like now people know me and know, oh, you need marketing help, you should call BJ, you should do this. So
Yeah.
that's something I would definitely say to anybody, and not even a consultant, not even somebody like us with marketing or whatever, just your business yourself, like join these networking groups, or at least take the invite and go check it out, make the introductions. Because what I've seen, especially in this Walpole group, is they're very tight knit. It's about 25 people, but they do all work together to refer each other. So even if
Mhm.
it's on the Facebook, town recommends page, if somebody says, I'm looking for an insurance person, all the people in that group will comment about the insurance person in the group. If they say, I need I'm looking into solar, there's a guy that, is a salesperson for solar, and everybody recommends him. And it's just that power of networking. It's joining those. It takes time. It's a commitment, but at the same time, to me, that's marketing for my business. So that's a time spent on marketing the business locally. So I can't recommend joining those groups and at least exploring them. We don't all have time to join 5 or 6 of them and go to all the meetings and all that kind of stuff. But when there's town networking events or things like that, like just go, bring business cards, have a couple conversations, stay in touch with people. That's where, a good chunk of my leads in the last year have come from the people I've met at these events.
You nailed it. And you alluded to a thought or a perspective that I've always had on networking, which is that I think oftentimes people will think about whether or not they want to go to a networking event based on the people who are there. Well, if they say, oh, these attendees aren't necessarily my ideal client or ideal customer, but what I always tell people is I say, well, you're not just getting seen in front of the direct attendees there. I mean, you have to think about the network of the people that you meet. So even if you meet people who might not be your ideal client or your ideal customer, chances are they know someone who might be looking for someone like you, and they can make that introduction for you. And so I think it's so important, and you definitely alluded to this, but it's so important to just get out there and
Yeah,
do networking and have that open mind about it, because it's not just the 25 people that you're seeing there. It could be hundreds
right.
of people based on who they know.
Yeah, you're not just networking with those people, it's those people's networks, and that's, it
Yes.
actually did happen for me. I remember going to one back in, I think it was like March or April, and somebody saying like, "Oh, you don't want to go to that. It's all real estate." And, real estate has their marketing programs and their things that they use and all that. Like, you're going to waste your, well, I met someone there that had somebody that needed marketing, and was introduced, so it was worth it. It was,
Mhm.
on its face value, at face value, no, it probably wasn't, but I had the time and I was near, it was close, and I went. But I think what you're saying, it's get yourself out there, and don't be afraid to promote yourself. I think that's one of the things I had to get comfortable with, was
Mhm.
spending the time on Facebook and LinkedIn, and calling yourself an expert is really hard, at least
Yes.
for me. I try to stay very, I like to talk, as you've seen from this, but I try not to, it's not about bragging or anything like that. So to go into these places and speak as an expert, it's something I've had to adjust to. Like, even to come on the lunch and learn with you on AI, coming up. It's, you know, I don't know that I would ever say the words BJ's an AI expert, but then you have to step back and look like, well, you have done the research, you have worked with
Mhm.
people on it, you have put together an ebook that people are using in the fitness industry to help them build. So you do have insights. And I think it's the terminology. So you don't call yourself an expert, but you have the confidence in yourself that what you're doing or what you've done or what is of value to somebody, and share that. So it's, you know, go on the Facebook groups and recommend yourself, and go in the business groups when they say, tag your business, promote your business, put your wins out there, go on LinkedIn and answer questions, and, post stuff, and just get yourself out there. It's, to me, it's changing that stigma, persona, whatever, stereotype of an expert. An expert is somebody that knows more than me. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I look at it as. What can I learn from you? Then you're the expert in that. To me, you're the expert in that subject. I mean, podcasting, for example, I don't have one. I've talked about doing one for a year, but you have one. So I look at you as, a marketing podcast expert for me, because I can learn from this experience, and who knows, maybe there'll be a 13th Mile podcast and you'll be on it someday. But
Yay.
I think that's what it is for me. It's lean into what be confident in what but be confident in what you don't know too, and
Yes.
go learn it, go find out about it, go understand it. Like I said, with AI, I don't consider myself some guru, but I also understood, like, this is coming, and I've seen how it can help me in my business. So I can tell you how I think it might help you. And there are certain things in certain industries you have to have. And, in the fitness side, which is why I put my book together, was a lot of the people in that industry are solopreneurs. They own their
Mhm.
own gym, they train their own clients, they have to do their own marketing, they manage the schedule, they do all of it. And if they can use a couple of different AI programs that make it feel like they're not wearing 8 hats, they're wearing 3 hats, and AI is helping with the other 5, that's going to make everything better for them. It's going to make their
Right.
time management better. It's going to make them train their clients better. It's going to help them, throughout everything. So that's where it's like, okay, this has some value. Let me spend some time on it. And, no different than having a corporate marketing role, and you research your industry or the new trends, or, whatever it may be. You do that with consulting too. So
Absolutely. There's so much good stuff to unpack from what you just shared. And I think the bulk of it is just the importance of having the right mindset as a business owner. Like you talk about kind of getting past that imposter syndrome and really
Mhm.
understanding that you bring value and you contribute something to the table and being able to really go all in on that. And it reminds me of kind of the way that I felt when I first started my business in 2016 is I thought that the kind of golden ticket to success was strategy. But what I realized probably a year or so into my business is that, yes, strategy is important, but really it was mindset that I felt like kind of led to success is having the right mindset and believing in yourself and really being able to have the right perspective on things, which I think it's just so important for business owners to remember is that just having that right mental ideation of what it is that you could do can help you go so much farther than just the strategy or just the business plan or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's I see on the desk behind you, the, be comfortable with the uncomfortable. That's
Yeah,
exactly, part of it, especially if you're going to do the consulting piece. It's, you can't hide behind a team. You can't hide behind your boss, or you can't hide behind corporate structure. Like, you have to have the ideas and the strategy and the confidence to give those to people. They're paying you directly. I remember someone I worked with back in the day that said, her mom had told, she was really frustrated at what was going on. And her mom had said, they pay you every 2 weeks to have ideas. They don't pay you to use those ideas. And it was one of those like light bulb moments when she said it that we all still say it when we chat, but it's true. And that's how corporate marketing really is. Like, you're there to provide and deliver, but there is no guarantee that what you're doing is going to be the end result. There's always going to be
right.
a, we have to do this because, if a retailer wants it, or the person, the executive team wants it this way. But when you're consulting, you are doing that. You are
Hmm.
front and center, and it is your decision, and it's sink or swim. Like, that client is either going to be thrilled with what you've done and keep going, or they're going to say this didn't work and you suck and see you later. And so you have to be comfortable with that. And so I think, when I see that and I see, like, be comfortable with the uncomfortable, like, you have to be uncomfortable and understand, like, there's going to be rejection. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to do things that, you know, I don't think I thought I would be doing. But
Right.
you have to, like I said, it's be confident in what you know and really do that. One of the things I always, I was just at a fitness show back in July, and at a seminar I went to, the speaker asked everybody, what was your unique superpower? And what was the thing that people would say you're the best at? And it was hard to sit and think about it. And everybody really, didn't want to be cliche and really took the time. And what I said was, mine was being a connector. And,
Mm.
and that's where I start everything from now. Is I may not always have all the answers or have the best strategy or be the right person for the job or whatever the case may be, but I have a really good sense of how to get things done. Dina, that I mentioned before, that was one of the things I remember her referring me to someone one time and was like, at the end of the day, he gets shit done. And
Yeah.
that was, and that's what I try to do. And it's, so I look at it like, can I do this? Can I help? No, I can't. But this person needs to talk to that person. And if I can get them together, they're gonna, and that's where my brain goes, is how do we 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, get people connected the right way that success happens. And so that's how I approach even my discovery calls with a client. And like I said, it may not be that you need to work with me, but it may be, hey, let me be an advisor versus a, actual part of the team, and get these people in place for you and
Yeah.
and do that. So and you have to know that that's what you're good at, and go for it. So it's, if you think you're the best at creating Instagram reels and you know that better than the average person, then lean into that and promote yourself as a content creator. If it's, being able to copyright, then be a copywriter. It doesn't mean you can't do all the other things, but people are going to come to you for what you tell them you can do. So you have to figure that out, and you have to understand it, and go from there.
So true. And I think that people end up having even more respect for you when you say to them, you know what, I'm not the right fit for you, but I know three people that you absolutely need to chat with, because that's something that unfortunately business owners face, is that they speak with a potential consultant and that person might not be the right fit, but they just want the money from the client. So they move forward
Mhm.
anyway. And I think people end up, like I said, giving you so much more respect, or having so much more respect when you say, I'm not the person for you, and I would love to introduce you to the person who can help bring your dreams to fruition or
Mhm.
help you take that next step within your organization.
Yeah, I think and you know, I don't know how you maybe set up your business model or other consultants, but that's part of it for me, and that's in fact how one of the clients that we have now with DuoCore, the company was going to hire a marketing specialist, let's say, that was, you know, relatively low money, but you were going to get somebody maybe 2 or 3 years out of school and, you know, do and we went back to that company and said, look, for the money you're going to spend, you could hire us and you're going to get somebody with 17 years of marketing experience, a trainer with 20 years in the industry and has won multiple awards. We've created these education programs. We know all the people you need to talk to. We know
Mhm.
distributors. We know, you know, all this stuff. And yes, you're only going to get us for part-time, but you're going to get a lot more output in part-time than you're going to get from that full-time hire, you know, at that
Totally.
experience level. And that's where even outside of that, looking at, like you said, like, hey, I may not be the person to work with you as a full consulting service, but I can consult you on the roadmap or the strategy. And that leaves your budget to go hire that person and hire that person. So yeah, it would be great. We're all, you know, at the end of the day, we all have bills to pay. The bills just keep going up and expenses go up. So we all want to make, you know, you know, the most we can make. But I
Mhm.
wanna do it the right way too. Like, that's one thing I always
Yeah.
say to prospective clients too is, "Look, I'm not gonna retire off working with you, and, you know, so let's figure out a way to make your business work so we all retire together." And, you know, so it's to me, those are the things that I try to set up, and again, it's being that connector. So for me, like I said, it goes back to, you know, what's that superpower? And it's kind of funny to say that, but, you know, to me, it's having that network and being able to bring the right people together, and I just always go back to that.
100%. And for anyone who's looking to get into the industry, what advice would you have for them? I know you mentioned the importance of networking and being that connector for people, but for anyone who's looking to get into marketing, what would you say is really kind of a few things they should keep in mind?
I think the biggest thing is understanding there's a lot of time to spend researching and understanding. I think, you
Mhm.
know, I used to say it about personal trainers and even, you know, real estate agents. There's, you know, throw out a stone and you'll hit 12 of them. It's, you know,
Yeah.
there's so many of them and those markets end up saturated. Well, marketing's kind of becoming that way, especially since, you know, post pandemic. Like, we do your social media, we do this, we do, you know, there's a lot of these people out there. So again, it's what makes you unique, what's your story, what are the things that you can convey in that, you know, 30-second pitch that people are going to understand, and what's going to
Mhm.
drive them to want to know more. You know, it's no different than what I do or what you probably do with clients, as far as, you know, you've got to have your search optimized, you've got to have your content laid out right, you've got to have your, you know, you have to do that if you want to do, you know, marketing consulting too. You have to understand what else is out there, what are they charging, what are they offering. I just talked to, you know, a potential client yesterday, in fact, and, you know, he was talking about, well, we found this national firm that might do, you know, can do our social media, and they put money back into promoting it and all that. I said, no, what they're doing is they're making you cookie cutter vanilla, probably AI produced social media, slapping your logo on it, and then they're spending $1,000 promoting your social media and they're pocketing the rest. Well, I'll work, you know, I can work at this rate. You'll have content that actually features you and your team and your products and your services, and you'll still have almost the rest of that money left over to go promote and do what you want, but your content will actually be authentic. You
Yep.
know, if, you know, and as a small business, like, you have to do that. If, you know, I know, like I said, Rentham is very small. If I see that social media post for that business and I don't see that person in the social media content, I know it's fake or
Mhm.
cookie cutter. It's not authentic. So I don't take it as seriously. Well, that's going to happen in a town like Rentham or a town like Walpole or, any of those smaller towns. So, you know, do it right and focus on it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's understanding your market, it's understanding what you want to do and being able to plainly state that to prospective clients.
Yeah, I love that advice. And speaking of being in the Walpole and Rentham area, I feel like this is going to be a tough question for you to answer. But one of
Uh-oh.
my favorite questions to ask our guests is what their favorite local businesses are to support. So I feel like you probably have a whole like CVS length receipt that you could pull out for this.
I used to work at CVS and I before the receipts started like that, I think I probably would have quit if they had come out like that when I worked there. Uh, yeah, there's a ton of businesses. Obviously, all the businesses I interact with through, the networking group, which you
Mhm.
can go in and look at. But, locally, Rentham, Foxborough, Walpole, we're big, food wise, we're big Omega Pizza people. The person who actually introduced me to you and this group here in Rentham is Christine Anastasia. She does
Yep,
working moms, working parents coaching, which is really, I think, much needed in this day and age with everything going on. So, that's a business that I really push a lot. If you need a real estate agent, I've done a good friend of mine is Mary Yazbek. She has her own business here in town, selling houses, an agent broker. And really for me, it's I'm still learning all of them. I'm still trying to meet all of them. I've been in Rentham for 3 years now, and it's one of those things for me where, you know, I try to pop in places and learn about them, everywhere we go, whether it's,
mhm,
just a liquor store or the mini mart or, what can we learn about here? And I like the people that maybe don't have a storefront that are trying to they have a product or a craft or a service that they provide that, how can you get that out there?
totally.
It is a really tough question because I'm like, if I say this person and I don't say that person right now, they're gonna see this and say, like,
You
what
don't
the
want them
hell?
to feel
So
left out.
I love everybody that has a business and rent them right now. So
I love that. That's the perfect answer. BJ, this has been
it's
such a great episode, and I've really appreciated having the opportunity to have you come on and talk about both 13th Mile Marketing and DuoCore Solutions. And so now I'd love to give you the opportunity to share with our listeners where they can find you online in case they'd like to connect further.
Yeah, I think either business is out there on social media. So Instagram at 13th Mile, at DuoCore Solutions. Both of the websites, 13thmile.com, duocoresolutions.com. I'm on LinkedIn as BJ Corey. And if you want to email me, BJ at 13thmile.com. I'd love to help, like I said, and not just as a prospective client. If there are questions, like you asked Ashley, if you're getting into this business or you want to, understand it better, or, you know, I've been trying this marketing route and it hasn't been working, I'm happy to answer those questions. Like I said, at the end of the day, for me, it's helping people and seeing them succeed, and that's to me, I guess I come from that team perspective where if they win, we all win. So,
Yes.
reach out to me any of those ways. Instagram's probably or LinkedIn are probably the fastest, just because I'll see them and respond right in the apps. But no, this has been great. I appreciate it. This is like I said, to start the networking groups in the last year or so, and to meet you and to get to come on and be a guest and talk about all this stuff is great. So thank you.
Of course, it is my pleasure. And for our listeners, I'll link all the places they can find you in the show notes. So that way they can easily
Okay,
click through and find you from there. But thank you so much again for being a guest on today's show.
awesome. Thanks for having me.